April 15th, 1943. High above the rolling fields of northern France, the morning sky was quiet, calm, almost peaceful, an illusion that would not last long. Far below, the shadows of Allied bombers crawled across the earth like slow-moving giants, each one loaded with enough explosives to shatter factories, railways, and supply depots deep inside enemy-held territory. The Luftwaffe had grown used to these intrusions. For years, they had risen swiftly to strike, confident in the speed of their Messerschmitts and the precision of their tactics. But on this day, something unfamiliar was flying alongside the American bombers, something so strange that German pilots would later write about how they laughed the moment they saw it. It was huge, almost absurdly so. A thick, bulky aircraft with an engine cowling so wide it looked like a barrel. Its wings were massive, its fuselage swollen, its silhouette clumsy compared to the sleek lines of the Bf-109. Through the glass of their cockpits, seasoned German pilots joked that the Americans had finally resorted to flying milk jugs into combat. They had no idea that the object of their mockery, the Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, would soon turn the sky into a furnace. When the P-47 first appeared in Europe, even American pilots were uncertain about it. Many of them had trained on lighter, nimble fighters that responded instantly to every movement. Transitioning to the Thunderbolt felt like stepping into a machine built for a different purpose or even a different war. It was enormous, heavy, and demanded an entirely new style of flying. Some pilots joked that it wasn't a fighter at all, but a bomber pretending to be one. The truth, as they soon learned, was that the Thunderbolt was unlike anything the air war had seen before. Its heart was the Pratt Whitney R-2800 double wasp engine, a monstrous power plant capable of propelling the aircraft to speeds that defied its size. The engine roared with a deep resonant growl that set it apart from all other fighters. Pilots described the feeling of pushing the throttle forward as waking up a beast. Despite its weight, the Thunderbolt could dive faster than almost any other aircraft in the war, and it could climb with an unexpected strength that surprised veteran aviators. But the feature that truly made the Thunderbolt legendary lay in its wings. 8 Browning .50 caliber machine guns, 4 in each wing, arranged like the claws of a predator. When a pilot pressed the trigger, the guns unleashed a storm of fire so intense that it seemed to carve glowing lines across the sky. The recoil shook the aircraft, the barrels glowed red hot, and the target, whatever it happened to be, was often reduced to metal fragments within seconds. One pilot famously said, "If you pointed those guns at a cloud and fired long enough, you'd make a hole in the weather." Still, none of this was obvious to the Luftwaffe on that April morning. They only saw a slow, heavy target, something too big to miss and too sluggish to escape. As the first wave of German fighters climbed into position, they felt completely at ease. The tactics were familiar. Dive on the bombers, break apart their formation, pick off the escorts, then sweep up any survivors. They had done it countless times before. But as they approached the formation, something unexpected happened. The P-47s did not dodge, they did not scatter, they did not retreat. They held formation, waiting, engines rumbling with a low, threatening growl. Several German pilots later recalled feeling a sudden moment of doubt. Something about the way the Thunderbolts held their ground felt wrong, unnatural, almost ominous. They were not behaving like easy prey. Then the sky erupted. A line of tracers streaked out from the Thunderbolts, thick and bright, glowing like burning wires against the blue. The first German pilot to be hit had no chance to react. His aircraft was torn apart almost instantly. The burst from 8.50 caliber guns shredded through the engine, cockpit, and wings in a single sweep. Other German fighters tried to break away, some climbing, some diving. But the Thunderbolts surged after them with terrifying speed. The Germans had never imagined that something so heavy could move so fast. The noise of the guns echoed across the sky, a rhythmic pounding that drowned out the engines. The air smelled of gunpowder and burning oil. For the first time in the war, German pilots felt the unsettling presence of a machine that seemed built not just to fight, but to dominate. But the battle did not end with firepower alone. As the dogfight intensified, the Thunderbolt revealed its second, more shocking ability. It refused to die. One P-47 was hit squarely in the fuselage by cannon fire. The explosion tore open part of the skin, ripped through internal wiring, and even damaged the turbocharger. The pilot felt the aircraft shudder violently, losing altitude fast. In almost any other fighter, that would have been the end. Yet the Thunderbolt held together, its metal bones resisting the damage. The pilot regained control and climbed again, limping but alive. He managed to return to base, where mechanics stared in disbelief at the wounds in the airframe. Some said it looked like the aircraft had flown through a storm of steel and survived. Another Thunderbolt returned with more than 50 bullet holes scattered across its wings and fuselage. One wing flap had been completely severed. The canopy had a crack running across its surface. The pilot described the flight home as wrestling with a wounded bear, but the bear carried him safely back to friendly territory. The aircraft became a legend among ground crews. In one of the most famous cases, a Thunderbolt returned to base with a cylinder blown off the engine. The mechanic who inspected it said, "I don't know how it got home." The only explanation is that the damn thing refused to quit. Stories like these spread quickly. Soon, the Luftwaffe realized they were not fighting a typical American fighter. They were facing a machine designed to absorb damage, break through defenses, and keep coming, a machine that didn't just protect bombers, but actively hunted the hunters. By the summer of 1943, the reputation of the P-47 had transformed completely. The aircraft that German pilots once mocked now filled them with a sense of dread. Its presence changed the way they approached combat. Many Luftwaffe pilots began attacking bomber formations with greater caution, sometimes even avoiding engagements if Thunderbolts were present. The turning point came during a series of deep penetration missions where the P-47s performed high-altitude dive attacks against German fighters. The tactic was brutal and effective. The Thunderbolts would climb above the bomber formation, wait for enemy fighters to appear, then dive like falling stones, guns blazing. The sheer speed of the dive often caught enemy pilots off guard. Those who tried to turn away found themselves overwhelmed by streams of bullets. Those who attempted to climb were chased relentlessly. Erich Meyer, a German pilot, later wrote about the first time he saw a Thunderbolt diving at full speed. "It fell like a meteor," he said. "There was no outrunning it. I had the feeling that the sky itself had turned against me." As the months passed, the Thunderbolt's impact on the air war grew undeniable. Its range increased with the addition of drop tanks. Its tactics improved as pilots learned how to exploit its strengths, and its psychological effect deepened. German pilots began describing it not as a milk bottle, but as a monster, a machine that absorbed their strongest hits and returned them twice as hard. By 1944, the P-47 was not only feared, but respected. It became a symbol of American industrial might, a demonstration of what could be achieved when engineering, firepower, and durability were combined in a single platform. Pilots who once doubted it now swore by it. Ground troops loved it for its devastating ground attack ability. And the Luftwaffe, once so confident in their superiority, found themselves struggling against a foe they could neither outgun nor outlast. In the end, the transformation of the P-47 Thunderbolt told a simple truth that echoed across the skies of Europe. Appearances can deceive. What looks clumsy may be unstoppable. What seems slow may be powerful. What begins as a joke may become the nightmare that ends the laughter. And on that day in April 1943, when the Germans first mocked the Thunderbolt, they unknowingly witnessed the arrival of the aircraft that would scatter fire across the heavens and help turn the tide of the air war forever.